One lawyer representing several of those charged in Manchester says the media has given undue prominence to a few harsh sentences for simple cases of burglary or theft. As you heard, one young man with no previous convictions was sentenced to 6 months jail for stealing a few bottles of water. Another was given 8 months jail for stealing £75 worth of clothing and 2 electrical items. Joseph Monson says he doesn't believe such high-profile cases are representative of the majority, but he says it's clear that magistrates and judges are under intense pressure. He spoke to Anne Barker in London.
It's fairly obvious that David Cameron saying what he said about the way in which these people would be come down upon, senior police officers, we will find you, we will track you and you will be convicted, etc. This big rhetoric was designed to put pressure on the judges to make sure that they act within their discretion as forcefully as they can and with as little leniency. The extent to which that will work is debatable, but when we are seeing these sentences, which I say must be unrepresentative, this is not what's happening in most courts, but the fact that we are seeing it at all, when press agents are in public galleries, in courts, all waiting to see what happens, and judges know that their names will be published, they will be named and shamed as being too lenient if they don't show a disproportionately harsh response.
I hear what you're saying, that most of these are perhaps not representative, but where we are seeing it, how can you justify such harsher sentences for someone who might have no previous convictions, for example?
Well, in terms of whether I would justify it, I can't justify it. That behaviour is completely inappropriate because people should be sentenced in terms of the individual thing that they've done, according to whether they're the type of people who can be prevented from offending by doing something else. But there is massive public outcry, and the justification is a political justification based on the national political temperature at the moment. It's not about dealing with these people in appropriate ways. You know, of course we all want people to be punished for offending. What we don't want is children to be criminalised and children to end up in situations where they're in custody with real criminals, learning how to be a proper criminal, when an appropriate dealing with a youth offending team worker, effective dealing with them at the sentencing stage rather than giving them big long sentences or whatever. Effective dealing in that way is much more likely to prevent further offending.
And that's lawyer Joseph Monson speaking there to our correspondent in London, Anne Barker.